Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett here live on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. I'm Bridgett Ellison. It's good to be with you on this Wednesday. The week is trucking right along and it is a hot one. This morning, we're talking to a doctor about Inside Out 2 and unpacking how it has impacted the talk about emotional intelligence for kids and adults. So that's coming up in just a few minutes. But first, heading over to the Pinpoint Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos and these heat advisories that we've been back and forth with. And then even today, our Mark Lehman reporting on how the cooling centers will be opening up for Orange
Mm-hmm.
County, which is good news because we have, certain folks who are more at risk with these heat
Right.
advisories, and it can get dangerous.
It certainly can. And that's why today we are designating it a weather alert day, because even though technically everyone's like, well, it's hot, Candace, duh. That's kind of how it's going to be. But we start designating the days when we're under those advisories. And when we get those advisories, that means that those feels like temperatures are going to be cranked up a little higher than our usual. Yesterday was usual. It was feeling like 102, 105. We were okay yesterday. I mean, obviously, we of course need to take those cooling breaks and listen to our bodies and stay hydrated. But as we head into today, as we head into your weekend, there will be those heat advisories in place. So feels like temperatures will be once again over 108. Now, there is a good part to this. It won't be as hot as what we dealt with on Monday. If you remember Monday during the noon show, for instance, Bridget, we were already having heat indices at 115 in some of
Yes.
our neighborhoods. So again, it's going to be kind of a medium between what we
Mm-hmm.
saw yesterday and what we saw Monday. That's my
Okay.
best way of explaining it. And one of the reasons why we're heating back up, or the reason why we cooled down yesterday, was because of the timing and the coverage of our rain. So rain chances today backed off a little bit. We have a little bit of dry air that's filtering in today. And that's the reason why rain chances aren't up to about 70% like they were yesterday. So again, that weather alert day has been triggered. Limited rain today, keeping those temperatures hot. We're back in the mid 90s. But again, compared to Monday, where we hit a high 98, it won't be that hot, but still dangerous heat conditions, 108 to 110. Hydrate, hydrate, cool down. Listen to your body, because, of course, if you're going to be out and about today, enjoying your summer break, maybe with the kids, with the family, with friends, the heat advisories will be in place. Again, we are anticipating these heat advisories to stay in place till 6. That includes Volusia, Brevard, Seminole, Orange, Osceola, and even Lake County for today. So where are we going to? Again, we're on that threshold. Some models kind of teetering between 107 to 108 this afternoon. Again, that will be enough to create those, to spark those advisories in place. In the meantime, our actual temperature is running above average. Our average for this time of the year is 92. Today, we're up to about 95. But your rain coverage starting up a little later in the day and not as widespread. And the main reason for it, we've been watching this upper level low that has kind of shifted out to sea a little bit, and that's allowing for some dry air to filter in. But another area of a weak disturbance will be actually moving back into Central Florida on Thursday. So if you're trying to plan out, if you want to do outdoor stuff today and you don't want to have to deal with the rain, today's the day to do it, or the weekend, not tomorrow. Rain chances will come back. So you can see here clouds and rain forecast by 1, 2 o'clock. We're still looking mostly dry. Models still showing a little more of some sea breeze, rain, and storms developing along our coastal communities today, but it will be later on in the evening. We're talking about 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and that will kind of push out to sea by about 11 o'clock. And then we're good throughout the overnight. An earlier start to the rain and storms. So if you are hopping on a flight, if you are trying to plan some outdoor activities and you're thinking, I want to get it done earlier before the rain comes in, you're going to have to get it done a little earlier in the day, especially for our coastal communities on Thursday by 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And then you can see your chances turn a little more widespread. There's just a lot more moisture around that will help fuel some more scattered rain and thunderstorms. So coverage for your Thursday is up to 70%. No percentages to talk about, though, with our tropical outlook. So that's certainly some good news. We're really not highlighting any areas right now in the tropics. Of course, we have some tropical waves out there, but nothing anticipated to develop significantly within the next 7 days. And one of the big culprits because of that is our Saharan dust. You can see a big plume of it still kind of filtering off the coast of Africa, and some of it actually making its way here into Central Florida. So we are under a little bit of a more of a denser pocket of dust. And because of that, we do actually are noticing air quality has clock down a little bit more in that moderate range. So nothing to be too concerned about with air quality, but if you have a family member or yourself deals with more of those sensitive issues with your respiratory system, just do be aware that that could play a little role in your forecast today. So try to limit outdoor activity, which why would you increase your outdoor activity when it's so hot? Temperatures again today, mid 90s. Rain chances increase for Thursday. We'll start backing off those rain chances for the weekend. Honestly, I would not be surprised if we do get heat advisories in place again for your weekend with rain chances down to about 50%. So it's that summer seesaw. Either you get the rain or you get the heat. It's one or the other till at least November, maybe.
I really enjoy the evening rain when it's, but not too late
So
in
nice.
the evening. But it is so nice, around that 8 o'clock hour when it's not too late. But
Most of us have pretty much are done with the day. You're
right,
home.
that's when you need it
Yeah,
because it's more beneficial for your yard and everything. So
that too.
yeah.
So it looks like we'll have a little more rain in the forecast tomorrow.
All right, good deal, and hopefully folks stay safe and cool. All right, thanks,
Yes.
Candace.
All right, bye.
Bye. So Trooper Steve is right back there over her shoulder in the traffic center, and I was so happy when you gave us a good update this morning. That was the first thing I asked you about.
I was terrified to come in here today to have to tiptoe around bad news, Bridgett. I didn't want to do it. I questioned whether or not I could continue doing the segment.
I know.
I questioned how can we continue doing this knowing that we failed. But you know what? Failing is hard for us to do here at News 6. And we were limited on time yesterday. We only had about 4 hours left, and I started just posting on Facebook again. I got out on Instagram going, look, we need to do something. And one of my friends, I've known her for many, many years, saw it. She's an animal lover, reposted it. Then an animal rescue reached out to them. They reached out to me. They reached out to Orange County Animal Services. And within a matter of hours, both Boo and Zara found themselves a place to call home for now. Meaning, now that they are in a rescue, being euthanized is no longer an option.
I'm so glad.
So they will get the love that they deserve. They will probably find amazing fosters and then find that home. But I tell you, it was just the look, Bridgett. I think a lot of people look at these dogs and they're just like, oh, that's a mean looking dog. And I go, well, I could look mean sometimes too. But once you sit down and talk with me, it's not that bad. And Boo just wanted love.
Every animal has a story.
Every animal has a story.
Of different things that have happened.
Absolutely. So this is yet another getting results success story for us. We can now say, and it's, I almost want to cry thinking about it, but we can now say every dog that we have featured over at Orange County Animal Services has found a home. I was terrified that one of our dogs were ultimately going to be put down, but that's not happening. And, Boo's in great condition. So this is a great story, great recap. And we've got to thank you guys, the viewers, for getting this message out there. All our team here, we're posting about it, talking about it, and we made it happen. So thank you guys so much, because it would have been hard for Bridgett and I to be here this morning talking about, yep, okay, dog didn't make it, next story. So yeah, we're not doing that today. So all good news.
It just tears me up, but I'm so
right, because you're an animal lover. I know you love your animals. I know that the idea of having a dog sits very nicely in your head.
But it wasn't always like that. I grew up, I had a frightening experience as a kid, and then it took a long time to get over, but that's what happens, with people. So that you come around, you come full circle.
Right.
So,
I love watching that. Love watching that. So thank you, everybody. Boo has a home. Let's check out traffic real quick. So right now, we do have some minor issues out there. You're looking at a crash that's in Polk County. Now, it's right on that Polk-Osceola County line. And I know I shouldn't be happy about a crash, but guys, this is really helping out our Central Florida traffic this morning. If you're coming in from Polk County, I'm sorry, but most of our viewers are just east of this crash. And look what it's doing to our drive times this morning. So if you're leaving this area, headed eastbound, 28 minutes from Champions Gate to downtown Orlando. This is normally at this hour 10 minutes higher, 35 to 38 minutes to get downtown. This will also eliminate any of that stop and go traffic right here at 5:35. We have no red currently on the map there, which, this is amazing. So out there, just take it nice and easy. Increase that following distance for me this morning so we don't have any of those secondary crashes. Taft, you guys aren't as busy as yesterday. John Young Parkway, Orange Avenue, north and southbound through the Land Street area, running good. Industrial portion of the airport. I met a few viewers. Yeah, I work on the backside of JetBlue and stuff like that. Awesome. We watch you guys every morning. Well, good morning to you guys. Hope you guys are having a great morning. Tradeport looking pretty good with no crashes currently in the city of Orlando. 408 looking good. DOT cam showing out by Crystal Lake. The sun is up. I haven't seen it yet because I'm stuck inside here, but it looks good out there. No delays westbound, just a little routine over by Roslyn. Moving on a little further north into Aloma, nice and clear. And then one last check of 417 as you're cruising over Lake Jessup, looking smooth this morning. Bridget, we have a lot of meetings today. I am planning to get up to Daytona at some point this morning. I'm looking at the time. I may have to postpone this stream today. I'm not sure, but either way, it'll be at 10:30. Over at clickorlando.com, we'll be looking at some speeding over in South Daytona, but we may have to put that off just because we got a lot of things going on with the staff today. So we need to catch up on some
You'll be streaming from somewhere.
The stream will happen at some time. We'll just figure out when that happens.
On the road. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, Bridget. I'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. So we want to get back to that weather plan. We talked to Candace a moment ago about the heat advisory and weather alert day. And so as all these weather alerts and heat advisories stack up, cooling centers are starting to be a part of the plan with our local leaders as they try to make sure people stay safe in the community. So our Mark Lehman has more on what's happening in Orange County.
Topic you all are very interested in, of course, are hot weather.
Orange County's public safety director is unveiling a new plan to protect people from the extreme heat that comes with summer in Central Florida. The plan activating when a heat advisory is issued by the National Weather Service, and free Lynx bus rides will be offered to air-conditioned public buildings. 7 Orange County community centers, 13 parks and recreation facilities with air-conditioned space, as well as 16 Orange County libraries. The program is aimed at protecting the most vulnerable, like the elderly, although all are welcome at the heat relief centers that can accommodate more than 1,600 people. That total number of 1,600 capacity I gave you, that's without impacting any of our ongoing summer services right now. Another part of the plan is triggered when the heat index is predicted to top 113 degrees. During an extreme heat advisory, the county will hand out water to homeless people and others in need. It's important not only that I'm speaking to this message, but that message gets out to the community and to the community that needs it most.
And so there you have it, that plan to keep folks safe. And of course, we have more on that on clickorlando.com. Now we want to switch over to cyber criminals. And so this is something that has been happening across the board in different industries. And so Troy Campbell has more on now how the Florida Department of Health is now experiencing some things that appear to be done by the hands of cyber criminals. So here he is with a cybersecurity expert with more.
When you hear that there is a government agency that still wasn't foolproof and someone managed to get data from them, what goes through your mind?
It's not a tremendous surprise, to be perfectly honest.
Rob Allen is the Chief Product Officer for the cybersecurity company ThreatLocker. We stopped into their Maitland headquarters on Tuesday, following an announcement by the Florida Department of Health of what it described as a possible cyber incident, first discovered in late June. The state says the potential hacking had taken down its vital statistics system, which handles death and birth certificates.
There's actually a lady in the building who I work with whose mum sadly passed away recently. She can't get a death certificate, so they can't get her cremated. So there are real world implications.
So are these hackers, these people stealing the data, are they specifically targeting certain areas that they know have information and data that they can do the most harm with?
It tends to be low-hanging fruit. All it takes, as I said, is a guessed password. All it takes is, a brute force. I mean, they run what's called cracking, password cracking, which is basically just throw loads and loads of passwords against
And can't
the
they do that with like an automated system where they can do like a million numbers?
Absolutely.
What should someone do if they think that their information is now in the hands of someone that shouldn't have it?
Unfortunately, there isn't a huge amount you can do. So it's not as if you can click your fingers and your information is going to be deleted. It just doesn't work like that.
It's like your hands are tied. If you're going to participate with society, your hands are tied.
Your data is going to be out there.
Allen says it's important criminals who steal data aren't rewarded.
Florida has an approach of not paying ransoms, which I absolutely commend, because they should not pay ransoms. Nobody should pay ransoms, because if
it's a slippery slope.
Well, if nobody paid, there would be no such thing as ransomware, because it wouldn't pay to do it.
And so that's an interesting insight there, and we'll keep you updated on what's happening with that cybersecurity issue. And now we want to get to our special guest this morning as we look at children and emotional intelligence and Pixar's new movie that's getting a lot of buzz, Inside Out 2. With us this morning, Dr. Vivan Charneco, who is Medical Director of Mindful Behavioral Health Care. And it's good to have you with us. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Bridget. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
And I'm excited to talk about the movie. I have not had a chance to see it yet. I was wondering if you've had a chance to see it, but it's definitely been a lot of good buzz.
I definitely saw it, and I also took the opportunity of seeing the first one as well, because I was curious to see the whole progression of the movie and whatnot. So I can definitely say that I had the opportunity of enjoying both movies.
And what's your take on it from that standpoint of lessons that we can learn from, a cartoon?
I think it's a really interesting concept. We don't usually see animated movies that focus so much on children's emotions in an animated perspective. And how they work. So it's a very unique way of introducing emotions, and it actually gives the opportunity for both children and their parents to better understand how emotions work, and the struggles that children and even through adulthood that people have in managing their day-to-day emotions.
I talked to my children about it because they had seen it, and they said, Mom, in this movie, in Inside Out 2, anxiety is a bad guy. And then and then one of my other children said, well, it's not a bad guy. It is a girl, but what is it that makes anxiety a bad guy? Because anxiety is normal. Anxiety is something that, pops up for everyone at some point.
Well, it's interesting. Anxiety is a great emotion. It helps to prepare us for whatever is there to come. But too much anxiety can definitely hinder the individual in being able to perform adequately. And we certainly saw that in the movie. And it's very, because all the different emotions, all they want to do is really help and be there for the individual that they represent. But they just get out of hand, and they become a little bit too much. Yeah. And so in the case of anxiety, it's interesting because that was a new emotion that was introduced in the movie. If you compare it to the first one, it's a way of actually being able to plan, see what's going to happen next. What are the potential alternatives that we're going to be facing with when we deal with different situations. But obviously, if we overthink too much, then it becomes chaotic and it becomes havoc, which is exactly what we saw in the movie. And they did a really good job with that.
And so when you watch the first one versus the second one, because obviously the main character, she's starting to get older. I guess she's like a preteen or a teenager in Inside Out too. But these types of things, I guess, give kids a way, and even probably in behavioral therapy, a language or vocabulary around things that maybe they're having trouble describing or talking about.
And that's a really excellent point, because that's exactly what happens many times with children. They have what may be perceived as these, we can call them these core basic emotions, and that's what we saw in the first movie, and which allowed the child to develop up to a certain point in their lives. But what happens is that as they continue getting older and being exposed to different situations, they need to start modifying and adding a series of new emotions that they were not familiar with. And I think that happens to everyone as we grow up and get older, and we are exposed to different situations and circumstances in our life. And I think that's what happened to the main character. It's how do I deal with when confronted with new situations in my life.
Mm-hmm. And so, when it comes to therapy and when it comes to what children need, how do you perceive what children really need in terms of when they need counseling or when they need someone to talk to, maybe at school through guidance counselor, or what's the normal progression of that in terms of kids just getting a chance to explore those feelings or talk about them with someone?
That is really a very important topic. The children, they experience different emotions, and sometimes they feel that those emotions kind of they work on their own. That they're not in control of their emotions. If you're happy, you feel happy. If you're sad, you feel sad. If you're angry, you feel anger. Sometimes the child feels that these bursts of emotions just really manifest, and they have absolutely no control over that. And the movie illustrates that very nicely. I think that the function in dealing with children and their emotions is to pretty much allow those emotions to be expressed and to be allowed for what they are. And like we saw in the movie, there's certain emotions are labeled as good emotions versus bad emotions, and sometimes some of these emotions tend to overcome other emotions, and we don't realize that all of the emotions are important, and they are necessary in being able to help with the development of who we are, our personality, our growth, and that there's no bad emotion per se. Even if you get angry, even if you get anxious, I mean, there's a purpose for all of these emotions. And sometimes children, as well as adults, they have a difficult time accepting certain emotions for themselves, and we see that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, if you're a parent, I'm a parent myself. Sometimes we want to see our children happy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that they may actually pout or they may get angry, we as parents will frown or reprimand our child, like, how could you say such a thing or whatnot, rather than trying to understand what that feeling is about, and actually be able to channel that feeling in a productive manner. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really how you work around the feeling that's important, more so than the specific feeling itself.
Mm-hmm. And do you think there is enough of the access to behavioral health care when it comes to our children and young
Oh,
adults?
that definitely not. I'm a child psychiatrist by training. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and it is heartbreaking sometimes to see what our children go through, and not only what they go through, but also being able to recognize the issues, the struggles that some of our children go through, and how many times they're not recognized, they're brushed aside, they're being downplayed, criticized, and which really doesn't help in the development of a healthy personality. And and there's really not enough professionals in the community or in the country at this
Mm-hmm.
point, which really it's alarming in terms of our emotional health.
Yeah, I've seen where offices, especially offices like yours, the waiting area is always pretty crowded. I've had to like, go past those areas, and there's definitely a demand there.
There definitely is, yes.
And so, when it comes to grade school age children, what can you do if you think maybe they need someone to talk to?
Well, there's quite a number of services and facilities in the community. Like for instance, in our office, I sometimes see children as young as 2 years old. And when you see children that young, it's not that you are gonna give them medication. It's not that you're going to identify situations that are wrong with the child. And sometimes parents do not realize that having a consultation is an opportunity to put in perspective what they're seeing with their child. Let's say they're seeing some unusual behavior, temper tantrums, nightmares, fears, and parents, as any other human being, we have our own perspective of things, and sometimes it's not the most appropriate perspective. We
Hmm.
actually think that we should put a lid on the child's feeling. We should not allow them to express themselves. So I think talking to a professional that can actually put those emotions in perspective, and educate them on what's appropriate, what's not, what to expect, what to do, when to identify if it really merits a higher intervention,
Yeah.
whether from a consultation to do they need therapy, play therapy, do they need to consider medication, which sometimes, for better or worse, the children do need some medication the same way as adults do, and actually navigate through that stigma that and most parents usually feel that if they bring some child to a professional, it's that they have not been good enough parents. I
And
didn't
that's
do
not the
a good
case
enough
at
job,
all. Right.
and not at all. I find
Okay.
that most parents, they really do the best they can with
Yeah.
their resources that they have. So
Hmm.
sometimes what they need is more support and guidance, and just to help them navigate through the process.